Hi, and welcome to Weekly Challenge 3 Walkthrough. If we look at this week's challenge, we're looking at running averages. So the goal here is to create a 3-month and a 6-month running average for the values in certain columns. And we want to create these averages by the horsepower category. As an example, if we look here, we've got 3 months of data with values of 218, 200 and 272, and then 3-month running average here has been calculated as 218, 212 and 233. And this is something that I'll go through when we go into the challenge. What they want you to do here is create the 3-month running average, and when there's missing values, use the prior month. So in an example here, if we wanted to work out how they got the 212 as the 3-month running average for month 2, what they've done is said, okay, well, there's not 2 prior months, so what we'll use is the closest month to that, which was month 1. So we've got a value of 200 for month 2, 218 for the month preceding that, and then it also uses 218 again for the preceding month for that. So 218 plus 218 plus 200 divided by 3 gets you to 212. So what we'll now do is we'll just move over to Alteryx and have a look at what this looks like. So if we just have a look at what this data looks like, we can see it's currently structured with the fields HP category, year, month, and then the values in the fields. And we want to create the 3-month running averages for these values in these fields. So to do that, what we'll first of all do is we'll add a record ID so we can keep the consistency within our data. So that's under preparation. So just drag in record ID and run that workflow. And then to make the calculations, it's easier to transform the data. So what we'll do is we'll transpose our data. And the setup here we've got is we want to keep our record ID, our horsepower category, our year and our month as our key columns. And then we'll essentially turn around the data for the other fields. So if we look at how this looks now, what you can now see is you've got record ID, HP category, year and month, which are our key fields. And then we have a name field, which are essentially what your column headers were previously, and then the values. But we won't be able to create the averages at the moment, so we need to sort this data. So we're going to sort, so bring in a sort tool. So what we'll do is we'll sort our data by our name, and then we'll also sort it by our record ID, record ID. If we run that, what we can now see is what we've got is all of our values for the field DCAGI running down, and then when we get further down data, there's a lot of records here. Don't know if we'll actually get to something. There we go. So then when we move to DIR, here we go. For the months, the record ID starts again at 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. What you can then see as we scroll down is we've got missing values, and Alteryx tells you that if you hover over a field, you can see this little yellow bar, and that's telling you that you've got some null values. So what we want to do is replace our null values. The easy way of doing that, there's 2 ways actually. One way you can do it is by using impute value, which sits here. So what we want to do here is we want to replace anything in our value field. If it's the incoming value is a null, we want to replace that with a 0. I'll just select this option just so you can see what's happening here. If we then scroll through our data, sorry, not the value, output, that is an extra field. We look down our value field and find some nulls. We can see that these nulls are replaced with 0s. I've just ticked this box just to kind of show you in terms of demonstration purposes, but I'll untick that to actually run the workflow. Or the other option is under data cleansing, which also sits under the preparation tool. What you can do is connect that one in. I'll just show you this as an example. If we take our value, we can say replace nulls with a 0. And if we look down on the same thing, so if we look in a field on this one just to see one that's changed to 0, so we know that record 139 has changed. And then if we do the same in this data, we can also see that the record 139 is also a 0. So that's two ways that you can kind of put the 0 values in. The next bit we want to do is we want to now create our 3-month running averages. So to do this, we use a multi-row field. Multi-row formula tool. And we want to create a new field. So we want to call this our running 3-month average. And what we do here now, if we just look at the data coming in, we want to group our data by our HP category. And we do that because if we scroll down, if we're looking at the rows previous, so we go from here, we go from our HP category 10 to 100 horsepower. We don't actually want to create the average across those two different categories. And we also, if the categories were to change, so we go from DACGI to one of the other fields, which is UCAGI, we don't want to calculate the averages across that. So the other option we do in here is we also do it by name. And then to calculate a 3-month average, we want to go back to 2 rows. So we want to take the value from 2 months ago. We want to add to that the value from the prior month. And then we want to add to that the value from the current month. And we'll divide that by 3. And then this is the bit that I want to kind of show you, and it's specified in the question. If we just run this, just to look at what the output looks like, we can see that we've got a 3-month running average, but in month 1 here, what it's actually done is, because there's no values in the prior month, what it's done is it's taken 1178948 and divided that by 3. But actually the question wants us, if there's missing values, to kind of include them. So that's where we look at this option within Alteryx. I'll just highlight this on the screen for you. So up here, there's an option in a drop-down box. So if we look in the drop-down box, you got the option to say for values for rows that don't exist, you either take a null, 0 or empty, or set the value to the closest valid row. So we'll now set that to the closest valid row. Run this again, and then we can look at this, and we can see now that for the 3-month running average for month 1 for the 10 horsepower category is 1178948. And that's because it's essentially used that value 3 times when calculating the average, because there is no data for the 2 months prior to month 1 2009. So that's how we get the 3-month running average. It's the same idea for the 6-month running average. So just to kind of shortcut that slightly, I'm going to add this in, copy that tool, connect this one up. So the change here is we want to go back 5 rows, change that, and then in here we want to do the HP category, and we want to do the name, and we just want to add in the extra ones that we didn't have before. So we want the value from 5 months ago, the value from 4 months ago, and the value from 3 months ago, and now divide that one by 6. Run those two together. I'm missing a bracket. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry, I'm missing a plus there. So run that. So now we've got our 6-month value and our 3-month value, and now we want to join this all back together. And I'm going to use, because we've got the record ID here, I'm going to use the multi-join. And what we'll do is we'll add our data from here, We're a bit too early. So now what we've got is we've got our 3 month, our 6 month running averages. Now what we want to do is turn this data back across, and in Alteryx that is called a cross tab. So we want to group our data by record ID, horsepower category, year and month, and then what we take from here, if we just look at the data on the left, is our headers want to be our names, and our values we want here to be our 3 month running average. Take the sum, run that here. So now we can see we've got our 3 month running averages. We'll do the same for this one. Let's get our 6 months. And now we want to rename these headers. So there's a tool here called a dynamic rename. And the option we want to do here is for these fields, which are our new columns. So the top ones are our 3 month ones. We want to add a prefix to it. So we want to here call these our running 3 month. And do the same for 6 month ones. Oops, drag the wrong one in there. Dynamic rename. So we're just going to add a prefix to these fields. So these are running 6 month. So if we run this now, what we can see is we've got running 3 month DCAGI, and then we've got our running 6 month. So we want to now join all of this data back up. So we want to do join. We'll do a multi-join. Let's just unconnect that from there. So we want our original data, our 3 month, and our 6 month. Let's drag that down there so that fits in. So if we run this, we haven't selected our what we're joining on, so we want to join on record ID. And what we can do is we can remove duplicate fields, so we don't have record ID, horsepower category, year and month repeated. So after we've done the join, what we'll do is we'll just add a browse tool just to make it a bit easier to see all of our data. We'll run that workflow, look at the data, and we can see that our data here now matches our input data. It looks like they've gone to a high level of accuracy on the input data because there's a little triangle, so they've got doubles there, but that's close enough for me. So thank you for watching this walkthrough of weekly challenge number 3. If you've got any questions, reach out to me on Twitter at ChrisDatablog. Thank you.